What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back for my second episode of Under the Radar, where I do brief reviews of albums I didn't give full reviews to on video that I will share with you guys and give my opinions about them. The only reason why we didn't have an episode last week because there was only a few albums that came out in the week of the 14th of January, so I am here doing albums for the week of January 21st with one of those albums from the 14th that I will get to soon. But to kind of kick things off for this week on Under the Radar is we're going to start off with one that's kind of a mainstream choice, and people may wonder, why do I have it in Under the Radar? Well, I didn't give a full review to it, so I figured might as well put it on here, and that is Battlebeast with Circus of Doom. So Battlebeast, a power metal hard rock band, kind of like a combination of the two. I've heard a lot of buzz about this band, mostly from like lady metalheads, and because, you know, you got a female vocalist, so I gave this band a try, and with this album, Circus of Doom, I actually thought this was some pretty solid hard rock power metal, and the vocals definitely more gritty than most female vocalists in hard rock today. Like a little bit more gritty than, say, like Lizzie Hale or Amy Lee or anybody along those lines. I don't know who the vocalist's name is off the top of my head. I'm just kind of winging this video a little bit just to kind of get it out there for you guys, but try and do my best to make it as good as possible. But the vocals, I thought, were really killer on this album, and didn't sound hokey when it came to the performance of the vocals. The only thing that was hokey was some of the lyrical content. I mean, granted, the album's called Circus of Doom, so it's kind of giving off a theme of, like, crazy, doomy scenarios at a circus, like Russian Roulette and Armageddon, Freedom, few of the songs that were pretty big highlights on here, but there's some great solos, some solid riffing, and the beats were infectious with the groove and the speed. But yeah, like I said, the main issue I had is that this was a little bit hokey for my taste in terms of like the lyrics and the concept they were going for. However, musically, this album was pretty damn solid. I actually enjoyed the listen while I was playing Fortnite. I thought it was kind of fitting playing Fortnite to this album. And overall, I enjoyed my first time with Battlebeast. It's not like a top contender or anything, but for fans of hard rock and for fans of power metal, this will be right up your alley. I give Circus of Doom by Battlebeast an 8 out of 10. Really solid stuff. It's a good album. I definitely could see myself liking it more the more times I perhaps will give it a listen. Even though I'm not the world's biggest power metal fan, I do enjoy power metal when done correctly. And while here, yeah, it's the hokey side of power metal, but it's got that hard rock tinge to it, and I think the combination works. It's definitely an acquired taste, but I enjoyed my first time with Battlebeast. Moving on to the next one, speaking of female vocalists, we move into Space Parasites' album, The Spellbound Witch. This is a German thrash metal band that has another female vocalist. And here, this is where the score is going to kind of dip for me. I gave this album a listen the other night, and it wasn't bad, but my main complaint I had on here was some of the instrument performances going on certain tracks, or I don't know if it was the instrument performance themselves from the musicians or when they were doing the final mixing and mastering of the album. There were some parts that kind of felt like they didn't gel together, and like parts like the guitars would be a little bit behind the drums or the drums would be a little bit behind the guitars. It didn't sound like it was cohesive to me. Vocally, it's not bad. It is a little bit weird. Like, the vocal style on this album's very weird for me. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad thing, but it sounded like, to me, this sounded like a mixture, a three-way mix of Wendy O. Williams from Plasmatics, Dave Mustaine, and Bart Simpson. I'm not trying to sound mean when I say that. That's just the way I heard it the first time. That was kind of the impression I was getting. I mean, the energy, this is a very energetic album. It's just those couple of complaints. The vocal style, maybe it's just a taste thing, but it just wasn't quite for me. And also, I don't know if it was just the musicianship performance going on in the music, or in the final mix, things just didn't sound like they were on time with each other. There were moments, like I said, where the guitars would be behind the drums, or the drums would be behind the guitars. So, definitely some production flaws on this. So, for this, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not bad, it's okay. It's just, hopefully this band for their next release, they can fix some of those errors, and maybe the vocals will be better, and maybe they could make something that'll blow me away. I definitely have faith that bands can do that. No question. Moving on to the next one, we get to Dead Nexus, Becoming the Ancients. This came out actually just 2 days ago at the time I'm recording this. This came out on Tuesday the 25th. So this is the latest one I'm talking about. And Dead Nexus, this is a technical death metal band, and it's very sci-fi based, because it sounds like death metal from outer space, kind of like Obscura and Cynic to some degree. There's a lot of technical parts, but there's a decent amount of groove on here. Whereas, like, I talked about the Arcspire album, the new Arcspire album that came out in 2021. I wasn't the biggest fan of that, mostly because it lacked in the groove department for me. The way I like my tech death is I like for it to have some groove and not just constant wankery, or if you are going to go for crazy solos, have some feeling behind it, like a band like Nile, who does the tech death craziness very well, or incorporates some more simplistic groovy riffs, kind of like Decapitated's early albums and Suffocation. That's just my personal take on technical death metal, or tech death as people call it. But this album definitely balances everything quite well for what it's going for. There's a good amount of that technical playing, but there's a good amount of hooks going on here. It's just, some of it's a little bit overindulgent for my taste, and that's really the main complaint I have about this album. This is actually a solid album. I give it an 8 out of 10 for me. There's some memorable moments on here, and there's some moments that'll blow you away. But at the same token, not the world's biggest tech death fan. When I like death metal, I like it meat and potatoes, brutal, with some great moments. Where tech death, yeah, there's plenty of that, and there's a lot of tech death bands I do enjoy. It's just, it's an acquired taste thing for me. Or, yeah. But Becoming the Ancients by Dead Nexus, 8 out of 10, solid album. And now that leads us to the final one. And this was the other one that came out on the 14th I didn't get a chance to talk about, because that Rotten Casket EP came out and I had to put it on the priority list. But thank God I came to this album. And that is the new album from Eliminator called Ancient Light. This is a traditional heavy metal band out of England. And all I'm going to say is, holy shit, Iron Maiden inspired heavy metal right here. This band basically takes that songwriting approach of a band like Iron Maiden, mixes it with like the sinister tones of a band like Iced Earth, or thrash bands like Slayer and Evil. They tune down to half step from standard tuning to kind of make it sound a little bit more sinister and dark. But the way the riffs, the solos, the beats, and the bass, it's very Iron Maiden-esque. And even the vocals kind of sound like a little bit of like a young Bruce Dickinson, but a little more grittier. Like, there's more grit to this vocalist's style. And I'm gonna drop a hot take here. This is better than anything Iron Maiden has done in like 15 years. This is a fucking fantastic album. Already off to a phenomenal start with albums here in 2022, because this one's gonna maybe end up being a contender for Album of the Year early on, and definitely might make the list depending on how good the other albums coming out this year are going to be. But right now, this is definitely a top 5, 9.5 out of 10. I absolutely love this album. I think if you love traditional heavy metal that's inspired by Nawabum, especially Iron Maiden, check out Eliminator Ancient Light. You will thank me because holy fucking shit. This is some fantastic songwriting, memorable riffs, amazing solos. The bass is really prominent. The beats are quite pounding, and the vocals are really gritty yet energetic. I can't describe this album any further than that. It's fucking fantastic. But anyways, if you guys who are watching this have heard of any of these albums, what did you guys think about them? Let me know in the comments below, and I will be back for another standard review coming this weekend. Actually, 2 of them, but it's all underground stuff, so I gotta pick 2 of them for the Under the Radar episode, and then 2 to do separate reviews for. But until then, horns high, and I will see you soon. Wake up.
This is interesting.
And
wow.
I can go ahead and confirm.
I was the revealer. I flip Levi's card. There's my revealer card.
I was hoping this would happen. Okay.
The heck happened?
Alright.
What in the
Oh,
world?
God.
Misappropriated.
Okay, I was the robber, and I took Seth's revealer.
What the heck?
So Seth and I are safe. Bad news for everyone else.
And I'm a prince again,
I literally
so...
was squinting because I'm like, that looks like a revealer card, but wait, I'm the revealer.